One of the questions that I used to ask when I started investing in equities or in the stock market was, what is more important? Is it the cost that I pay for managing my funds, or is it the performance of the funds over time? It is true, and I believe that it is not the amount of money that you earn, it is the amount of money that you keep. So, the lesser amount of money that you pay to the organization who manages your fund, the better. But that is a very simplistic way to look at it. So, in this video, I will share with you the evaluations that I make. It will be a comparison between Blackrock and Vanguard, and I hope you enjoy it. So in this video, we shall compare BlackRock investment funds and Vanguard investments. First, we will have a comparison between the S&P 500 index fund of BlackRock and the S&P 500 index fund of Vanguard. That's comparing apples to apples. That's the first one. And the second one is we shall compare the highest performing fund of BlackRock, which is the MSCI USA Momentum Factor Index, with the highest performing fund of Vanguard, which happens to be the same, the S&P 500 Index at 17.8%. So let's get with the basics first. Every time you shall see iShares score, this means it is a fund under BlackRock. And every time you shall see V, a ticker which starts with V, it's normally Vanguard. So in this case, these are all Vs, if you will see. And the S&P 500 index ticker for Vanguard is VFV. So that's essentially Vanguard. Going back, so we are now in iShares, which is BlackRock. There are two factors that we have to consider here. One is the performance of the fund since inception, and the second one is the management expense ratio. These are the fees that is paid to the organization, in this case to BlackRock, in order for them to manage the funds that we have invested. So taking this information into consideration, let's go and make our calculation on the investment growth of our funds. I am at fidelity.ca. I will link this on the description below. So now let us make an assumption that our initial investment is $100 and the time to grow is 10 years. That means that we shall not withdraw this money, and for the next 10 years, we shall keep on putting in money in this bank at $100 a month with a rate return of 16.7. So 16.7 is the historical return of this fund, which is the S&P 500 iShares since inception. This is 16.7. In case you are wondering where I got that. So we shall make inflation rate and tax rate as 0 just for the simplicity of our calculation. So here, after 10 years, the total amount of our fund is at $30,974. The amount that we have invested, which is $12,000 in 10 years, that is our $100 every month over 10 years. And the simple earnings is 10,104. 10,104 essentially is the earnings of $12,000 multiplied by 16.7 rate of return every year. That is the simple earnings. The compound earnings essentially is the amount of money that we earned, and we put that money back into the fund, because our plan is this is a long-term goal, and therefore compound earnings will also further quickly grow our fund. In this case, the compound earnings is 8,870, and therefore it's a total of 30,974. And this is with BlackRock. Now, if we go to the S&P 500, this is the S&P 500 of Vanguard. and the growth is 17.8% at 0.17% MER. But for now, we shall take into consideration the historical growth. We shall do the same calculation. So in 10 years, so the total is 33,201. And I had put all of this information on an Excel file so that we have a comparison. So here with Blackrock and Vanguard, both of them are S&P index, that makes it comparing apples to apples. The growth here with Blackrock is substantially lower than the growth here with Vanguard. Now, performance, as I said, performance is not the only thing that we should consider. We should also consider the cost of managing these funds, because ultimately that will be taken from us by this organization. So we have got our MBR calculator, and I shall link this description as well, or in the description below. The initial investment or deposit for both is $100. So Fund A is Blackrock, which is iShares, and Fund B is also $100, which is the Vanguard. The yearly contributions at $100 a month is $1,200, which is the same. The average return for iShares or Blackrock, as we okay. So, and the cost of keeping this, and then we calculate. All right. So let's go to Fund B. The cost of MER expenses with Vanguard is 0.17 as opposed to the 0.19 of iShares, and the average return of Vanguard is 17.8 as opposed to the return of iShares over 10 years. Just this information here below makes us really evaluate that we don't really have to calculate it right off the bat. We can imagine that Fund B, which is Vanguard, is a better performer or a better fund than Blackrock. Nevertheless, let's just, for the sake of evaluation, let's make that calculation here. So this management cost is the amount of money that we pay to the institution. And the loss of earnings essentially is the impact of the MER fee. So what it means is that the money that we pay, the management cost that we pay to the institution, could have been further invested into our fund. If this amount of money was invested to our fund, then we could have earned additional $255 over 10 years. But since it is not, therefore, we have lost $255.73. So these two numbers will have to be summed in order for us to truly evaluate or understand how much money was lost from our fund. And I had put that in a beautiful, amazing, very clear Excel sheet here. So the total lost earnings of our fund with Blackrock is amounting to 424, and with Vanguard it's amounting to 398. In totality, what we keep with Vanguard is 32,800, and with S&P is 30,300 approximately. So in totality, this is a difference of this 2,433, which is quite a number really over 10 years. Therefore, in this case, because Vanguard has got better performance and better MER, Vanguard wins the day. Let's take a step back a little and say, what if we take the best performing fund or one of the best performing fund of each companies and compare each in order for us to make a really good stable decision on where we actually invest our money in. And in this case, one of the best performing fund of BlackRock is the iShares MSCI USA Momentum Factor Index. Again, this is an index fund, and therefore this is passively managed and we pay little amount of management costs. For the performance, it's 21.09%, and our management fee is 0.62. It's quite high. It's quite high compared to other funds by Vanguard. Now, one thing that I would like to advise everyone as well is that when you look at fees, make sure that the fees provided to you involves two things. These are the management fee and the management expense ratio. I have had that mistake before, wherein I only had the idea that it was only this, whereas in fact I was being charged this as well. And therefore I was not aware of that. So I just want you to be aware of it. For growth calculator, so we say 100 initial investment and time to grow of 10 years. Well, again, that's assuming that you do not withdraw this money buying the clothes, all the clothes that you want, and the rate of return is 21.09. It doesn't allow me the 0.9, and it goes to 0.1, which is okay because it's a very little difference there. Contributions of $100 a month. We shall keep our inflation rate at 0 and tax rate at 0, just to make everything simple and everybody's on the same level. So in 10 years, our projected savings is 41,080. Note that with this 41,000, we had only put in a money amounting to 12,000, and the rest of it are earnings. So in this case, 12,766 is the simple earning, and the compound earning is 16,314. And this is for the best performing fund of iShares. With Vanguard, on the other hand, the best performing fund of Vanguard, and I have researched it, is the same. It is the S&P 500 Index ETF. So going back again to the calculation, we have to understand the growth of our investment. Initial investment of 100, time to grow 10 years, given that, assuming that you did not buy that BMW that you've been salivating about, and the rate of return of 17.8%, a monthly contribution of $100, inflation and tax rate at 0%. So over 10 years, we would have saved 33,201. And on this figure, we have only from our own pocket, we have only invested 12,000, and the rest, which is amounting to about 21,000, is the earnings, compound and simple earnings. Now, our calculation does not end there. Of course, we have to understand the fees that we have to pay, because at the end of the day, it's the amount of money we take home with us and not the gross amount of money. So we take our MER fee calculator. Yep, there you go. And both of them, so here, this one, Fund B, is the Vanguard. With Fund A, we shall do the same. We shall keep it, yearly contribution of 1,200. And our expense ratio is 0.62%, which is substantially higher than Vanguard, than the highest performing fund of Vanguard. So in this case, if we shall see, the management cost that we shall pay is 628, almost 629, and the loss of earnings is over 1,000, whereas with Vanguard, it's really, really minimal if we compare the two. So I have created an Excel. I have put this information to make a better comparison on an Excel sheet, and it's beautiful and it's amazing and it's very clear. Here you go. So the highest performing fund of MSCI against the highest performing fund of Vanguard. So the Blackrock highest performing fund essentially gave us a total of 41,080. And to make sure of that amount, this is it, 41,080. We go back. The MER and the lost earnings is a total of 1,683. And if we subtract that amount from the total earnings, our total earnings pre-tax, the taxation is not yet removed or reduced from this, we have almost earned 39,400. Now with Vanguard is the total savings was 33,201 minus our costs there, which is almost 400, 398.48, and reduce that from the total savings, and we get 32,802. And this amount has got a difference of 6,593. So therefore, what we are getting at right now is that the MER, or the costs involved in investing in a fund, is not necessarily the only factor we have to consider. We also have to consider the overall performance of a fund. Yes, the cost, or the MER cost of the Blackrock is at 62%, 0.62%, and this one is only 0.19%. But overall, if we take all the costs, all the historical performance, still BlackRock performs better than the Vanguard. So this is the only piece of information I would like to share with you, because I have made these mistakes in the past, and I have well, it was it was quite a big mistake for me, because it was quite a large fund for me, and now I have realized this, and hopefully you learned something from this video. So if you did learn something from this video, please give it a thumbs up or a like, subscribe, and share